Hi there, this is Ronnie coming at you with a video. 2020, it's been a while since I've done a video that hasn't been me sort of breaking my heart, but yeah. Friendly Local Gaming Store has a Facebook page, and one of the players is about to put up a game using Call of Cthulhu to run a game set in the Silent Hill game setting. And it got me thinking, as a subject I touched on a couple of years ago, but it's always worth another punt. And I put a question out there. What system would you use to run a particular license? Even whether or not it has a licensed product for it. What I mean by that is, there is a Dragon Age role-playing game. I know because I have it. But are there other game systems that people would use instead of Dragon Age to run a game set in that world? And we got some interesting answers. I mean, Silent Hill, I would use Cult for that all the livelong day. Failing that, True 20 if I was going to run it at my friendly local gaming store, because not bringing Cult in there. One of the and a couple of people have mentioned Savage Worlds for running things like Doom, which kind of makes sense. But someone come up with something very interesting. It was one I hadn't even thought of. It came right out of left field, and it was such an interesting idea. That they wanted to use Slay Industries. For those who have never seen, heard, played it, Slay Industries is set on another world. It's a sort of post. It has a strange mix of sort of splatterpunk horror and cyberpunk feel to it, where everyone works, all the player characters work for Slay Industries, and you get sent out on missions, and being a celebrity is as much a part of the game as anything else. It's a very interesting one. I did have first edition, I never got around to playing it. And I do have the I do have the honour of actually knowing some of the playtesters. In fact, I was at one of the playtesters' wedding last year. And I had first edition. I never got to play it, and I thought the minute they said Slay Industries to run Judge Dredd, and I went, oh, that's a good one. Now, Judge Dredd has had a few RPGs done for it already. In fact, the one from Games Workshop back in the 80s was excellent. But Slay Industries would actually fit it really well. Running something set in Westeros for the Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire setting, but using Pendragon, or the more recent one, which is Charlemagne, that would work. And in fact, the opposite is true as well. You could very easily run something set in Arthurian times using Song of Ice and Fire. I I mentioned Silent Hill in my list. I also I used to own D6 Star Wars. I've since given it to my daughter. And one of the reasons I did that is, first of all, I got the PDF for the expanded edition. But also, I have 2 fan-made ones. I have 3 actually, but I wasn't a particular fan of the one that uses the age system that runs Dragon Age, simply because it felt a little clunky to me. The 2 that I do have is True Force, which uses True 20, and Savage Star Wars, which, unsurprising from the name, uses Savage Worlds. And if I was going for something more character-based, bit more political and so on, I would probably use True 20. If I was going for something cinematic and just it's Star Wars, lots of high action, I would use Savage Star Wars without a second thought. Savage Worlds would just fit it like a glove. So, what about you guys? Is there a particular setting, a particular license, be it film, TV, set of books, graphic novels, video games, whatever, license, any kind of license, that you would make a game of, and what system would you use? Would you use one that was that had come out specifically for that? For example, Dragon Age with its own game, Buffy comes to mind as well with its own game. Or would you use another system that you felt would work better? In my case, I would probably use Savage Worlds for Buffy. Strangely, my friend Caroline ran a game based on the Underworld films, and basically there was a couple of players playing vampires, a couple of players playing werewolves, and she used the Buffy RPG to run that, and it worked very well actually. Personally, with everything I've got, I would run, because it's a franchise that is very much sort of focused on action set pieces rather than sort of horror or dread or anything. I would use Savage Worlds. If Underworld was more sort of modern day vampires and so on, but was more atmosphere and sort of machinations, if it didn't have its own setting and system, I would probably use True 20 for it. Or, again, Cult. So, throwing it to you guys, licensed products, with or without a game, an RPG made for it, what RPG rule set would you use for a particular setting? Let me know.